So we have str.upper. I bet you can figure out what this one does, right? Now this one is not as exciting as maybe it sounds. All it does, actually maybe it is exciting as it sounds, it's just exciting in a different way than it sounds. What it does is it takes any white space characters or other characters that you specify, and it removes them from the beginning and end of the string. Why would you want this, or why do I care about this? Why is it so exciting? Well, maybe you've had the experience where you have saved a password somewhere in your computer in a text file or something, or you get emailed the password, or a verification code these days, right? And you go in and you copy that code or the password, and you go back to the web page and you paste it in, because we're all too lazy to type, am I right? And it doesn't work. And why does it not work? Because probably you accidentally copied a space character before or after that. When you selected it, maybe you selected a space before or after that thing, and that's not part of the password, and so it gives you an error when you did it. And the same happens when we're dealing with user input a lot of times. For example, if I have the input function here and I say, what is your name? Like this. Now, what you may have noticed before is that I often put a little space here at the end of it. Why is that? Well, the reason I do that is because when I go here to type this, I don't know about you, but when I look at this little cursor blinking right next to that question mark, I feel a little bit of discomfort. Like what I want to do is hit a space before I start typing, right? Because it's too close. But if I hit a space, then that becomes part of my input. And so if I'm typing something important, that space is now part of my input. And maybe I didn't want it to be. I just wanted to give myself a little bit of mental relief. So what I do is I put the space in there for them. And now when I click there, that space is already there. Small difference, but it does, and that's what usability is really all about, is when you're creating software, you want to think about those things that users, or those patterns of behavior that users are interested in. Usability and psychology are very closely related. But just to protect yourself against the extra spaces, what I might want to do is something called self-assignment, where I just do this. So I say strname equals strname.strip. And all that is saying is, I'm going to take whatever's in this container out of it. I'm going to apply this to it, which takes the spaces off the beginning and end of it. And then I'm going to put it back in the same container. Why do I do that? Because it saves me from having to have extra variable names, which just complicates my program, keeps things clean. But there's an even cleaner way to do it. And that is called method chaining. And I can do that and put it right on the end of that input function. And why can I do that? Because I know that the input function is always going to return a string. Since it returns a string, I can use a string method on that. But but wait, there's more. If I want to, because I know that this still returns a string, I could actually do that if I wanted to. And then it does all of this. So it takes the input from the user, it strips the spaces off, it changes it to uppercase, and then it puts it in this variable. All in one line of code, which is really clean and succinct and does all that for me. And I could use 6 or 8 lines of code to do the same thing. But why would I want to do that? So this is a very simple way to do things. And so if I print this, let's say I'm adding all of these 3 strings together, which I can do because they're all strings. I can run this and I could put in 100 spaces, do all weird capitalization and put a whole bunch of spaces at the end of it. And then when I hit enter, you can see, because I've added these to the either side of it, you can see it cleans those spaces right off. I can also, if I wanted to, put a string inside strip and specify other characters that I want to clean off the beginning and end of input. Most of the time, it's white space. So line feeds, carriage returns, spaces, tabs, all of those get cleaned off by default. But if I want to, I can specify any character that I want to clean off, which is really, really useful. So that is the strip method. Swap case. Nice thing about swap case is if it's uppercase, it makes it lowercase. If it's lowercase, it makes it upper. That's actually surprisingly useful. And then we have replace and find, which I'll go over in just a minute. So strip, again, here's the function reference page for that. I use string.strip, and then if I want to, I can include the optional characters to remove. But if I have a string that looks like this and I run it through strip, then it will get rid of all of the white space. Okay, so they're pretty straightforward. Upper and lower we talked about already.